Have you found yourself having to address misconceptions about physiotherapists? I have 5 misconceptions that I keep having to address, so let's just get into it. First misconception is that it's not a broad profession. A lot of people assume that we're very either sports or musculoskeletal. They don't realize that there's so many different areas that you can specialize in, even down to research. People don't think about that. People just see that narrow scope and they're like, oh, are you here for this? Instead of other areas like pelvic health, mental health, so many different areas that the profession can take you in. And I think that's something important that people should be aware of, because it will get more people maybe even interested in the profession. The next thing, this one's a big one, and it was a misconception for me. Like, I thought this as well when I first started uni, but I quickly realized this wasn't the case. People assume that university will provide you with all, like, your rotations in all your core areas. Now, some unis will be like, okay, so your core areas, if you don't know, is like you got respiratory, MSK, and neuro. Now, you may not get, let's say, to be on critical care or in a MSK outpatient or in a stroke unit or neuro rehab unit. It may get the experience in other forms of ways. So that's how unis play it. Like, oh, okay, because there's a shortage of placements, which is understandable, there's so many courses in the UK now, that there's no guarantee that you will get this. But I think a lot of people, even once qualified, you get some people who come to rotations and they're like, I've never had respiratory experience, which is fair enough. If you haven't had respiratory experience, you haven't had it. And you get other professions be like, how have you not had respiratory experience? Did you not just come out of uni? Yes, but not every uni and not everyone is able to get rotations in an area where you even come across many of those patients. You could have a resp one, but it's not really the season where chests are popping off, you know? Anyway, moving on. The third one that I feel like I'm constantly addressing, especially that I'm rotating on respiratory, people think all we do is mobilize patients and provide exercise sheets. Now, there's been numerous times I walk onto a ward and someone's like, oh, like, what are you here for? Like, they can't get up. And I'm like, I'm not here to get them up. I'm here to listen to their chest. Like, I'm here because you called for chest physio. And they're like, oh, okay. Oh, even when I'm based on the ward, they'll be like, I assumed it was a different physio and you were just the one who gets them up from the chair. I'm like, no, like, we do way more than just mobilizing people. Like, we do more than that. So it's just about obviously educating people on that, but it's a thing. I don't face as much now, but I definitely faced a lot at the start, and even just with friends who aren't in the profession, just general conversation, people don't really realize that. The other one is, now I got this more when I was on complex medicine, but sometimes people assume that we're part of the social service team. And let me explain. When we do discharge plans and we put our opinions in and we're like, okay, let's say we got Gladys, that's my favorite old lady name for some reason. We've got, 8-year-old Gladys, 80-year-old Gladys, not 8. We've got 80-year-old Gladys. Gladys has come in with a fall. Her mobility is reduced, but this is her new baseline compared to what it was before. She's not as independent as before. We think, okay, based off her presentation on the ward and based off her past history, she would benefit from package of care. We're like, oh, okay, now we realise family aren't able to come in on a regular basis. Who will cook our meals? Can she walk the distance to the kitchen? Things like that. So let's say we tell social, okay, we think Gladys would need 3 times a day carers. Cool, that's just our opinion. There's been times where I could put that same opinion in being like, oh, patient's presentation varies. On good days, patient doesn't need that much support, but on bad days, patient needs assistance to 2. So I advise you give assistance to 2 carers. It's better to have someone there and them not necessarily be needed for the transfer than not have someone there. And then we've gotten to board round and discharge officers updated and been like, oh yeah, no, package of care is sorted. Yeah, or actually, no, they're going to go home without a package of care. I've had that before. Or actually, no, we're going to go home with 1 carer a day. And the doctor's like, could you not speak to the social team? And I'm like, yeah, I can speak to them. Or they'll be like, oh, give them double up carers. And I'm like, I don't make the final decision, people. Like, we are just like one of the gateways into this. So I wish people would realize that it is not under our job description. And quite frankly, sometimes I feel like we take on quite a big role on that, which is understandable, but it's also like, come on now, like this, there's people whose job it is to gather half of this information and we're handing it to them on a spoon and they can't even follow it. And lastly, my fifth one, I might have an extra one actually, now I've just thought of one. My fifth one is that people assume we don't play a role in respiratory management. And the reason I say this is because this is more people outside of the NHS, because the people who, majority of the people who are in NHS or in the profession obviously aware that we play a role in respiratory. But like, people are surprised when you say, oh, I had colleagues who were, you know, doing things during COVID. That's not just getting people up. Like, people are surprised when I say I own a stethoscope. And they're like, what? I walk around with my stethoscope around my neck more than I do hold Will Zimmer frames. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, we play a role. There's so many things we can do. Yeah, and it's always like, oh, do you just sit them up? And do you make a move to help with the chest? Yeah, we can do that. But that's just only the little, not even the ceiling, like the little plastic on this wrapper of what we can do to help this person. So there's like a misconception quite a few people have. Another one leading on from that is quite a few people don't know that we have the on-call service. So when I say to people that are like, oh yeah, I'm working on call tonight, they're like, oh, like doing stair assessments overnight. I was like, no one's gonna ring us like 3. I mean, people had it before, people ring at stupid o'clock and I'm like, oh, can you come in and issue frames? And it's like, mate, no. And like, oh, but they're gonna have to be admitted otherwise. Yeah, I'm not coming in for that. It's an emergency service. It's an emergency service. But yeah, those are 5 and, well, 6, little bonus one, misconceptions that have to be addressed about physiotherapy. If you have any misconceptions, put them down in the comments below. Let me know. Let's all bend and share it, and hopefully we'll get rid of all of them. Period. But I'll see you in the next video, and check out some of my other content. See ya.